Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here, and today we're going to be resuming our series here on the moral letters to Lucilius from Seneca, going through Seneca's letters basically and doing a commentary on it. So if you're new to this series, make sure that you go and you click over here into the playlist and you start from the beginning. We're going to be going through all the letters and just giving you a commentary as I read these. You can follow along if you'd like. You can just search for Seneca's letters to Lucilius, or I think maybe it's Lucilius. Who knows? But I should probably figure out the pronunciation. That's my homework for the next time. But we are on letter 3 in this video, and this letter is called On True and False Friendship. So, verse 1 says, "You have sent a letter to me through the hand of a friend of yours, as you call him, and in your very next sentence you warn me not to discuss with him all the matters that concern you, saying that even you yourself are not accustomed to do this. In other words, you have in the same letter affirmed and denied that he is your friend." So I think this is kind of interesting. You can kind of see where Seneca's going with this, that he's basically saying, is this guy your friend or not? Like if you're afraid to share things with him, if he's not in the circle of trust, right? As what was that? Meet the Fockers, right? As they would say, then why is this guy your friend, right? You're both affirming and denying him, okay? And a lot of us have friends like that, where we don't quite trust them. So why are we, this is a recipe for disaster, right? Sharing secrets with people who can't be trusted with our secrets, not so good, okay? And that you can't count on. Number 2, now if you use this word of ours in the popular sense and called him friend, in the same way in which we speak of all candidates for election as honourable gentlemen, these are in quotes, and as we greet all men whom we meet casually, if their name slips us for the moment with the salutation, "My dear sir," so be it. But if you consider any man a friend whom you do not trust as you trust yourself, you are mightily mistaken and you do not sufficiently understand what true friendship means. So essentially what he's saying here is he's saying like, yeah, if you're saying friend as in acquaintance, right? Or if you're saying like, friend is in the same way that we call a politician a gentleman, an honorable gentleman, even though we don't really necessarily mean or believe that, or, just someone that we don't know is "my dear sir," then sure, it's fine. But if you're calling him a real friend, maybe you don't know what a friend is, right? Because if you can't trust him as well as you trust yourself, you've got a problem. So Seneca's going to go on to explain what he considers a real friend. So he says, "Indeed, I would have you discuss everything with a friend, but first of all discuss the man himself. When friendship is settled, you must trust. Before friendship is formed, you must pass judgment. Those persons indeed put last first and confound their duties, who, violating the rules of Theophrastus, judge a man after they have made him their friend, instead of making him their friend after they have judged him." So again, what he's saying here is basically like, essentially this, right? It's what your mom told you, okay? It's what like to choose your friends carefully, to pick your friends carefully, because you should judge your friends before they become your friends, not afterwards. You don't make a friend and then say, "Oh man, this guy's a fucking idiot or is a dick or whatever it is," and make judgments about him. You be careful with who you call friend and who you make friends with. And it's really, really important because, you've heard, and I did a video on this about, I've done a whole bunch of videos on who you hang out with, right? And getting rid of the bad influence, the people that you shouldn't hang around with. Because as Jim Rohn, famously said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So this is why it's so critical, is because when you look to create a friend or someone that is a confidant, right? Someone who you're actually going to trust as a true friend, that's what you're going to become like, right? You are going to gain some of those attributes that they have, right? And when you select your friends, like I said, the 5 people that you spend the most time with, your 5 essentially most frequented friends, that's who you're going to become, right? You're going to become the average of that. So if you choose poorly, your life can be drastically altered. So a lot of people I think, and this is what Seneca's kind of getting to, is that they're not very careful with their choice of friend. They're like, oh, yeah, everyone's my friend, fine. And they're not careful with this. They don't understand how critical this is. They don't understand that this may be more critical, like your friendship choices, more than a lot of the other decisions you make in your life, including your career, right? So this is a very critical choice, right? That, again, it doesn't mean that you can't be acquaintances and can't hang out with people, but when you call someone a friend of that nature, it's important that you have chosen wisely, right? So he says, let's see here. Okay. Ponder for a long time whether you shall admit a given person to your friendship. But when you have decided to admit him, welcome him with all your heart and soul. Speak as boldly with him as with yourself. So basically this, right? If you're going to call someone a friend, right, and this is a good bar, you should be able to speak with them as you would speak to yourself. Okay, this is a pretty high bar, right? To speak with all your heart and soul. Okay, and so this is, again, are we applying this bar to our friendships? Again, I'm not saying you can't have acquaintances, but someone that you're hanging out with that you are not at this level probably is not a good candidate for a friend. You should be having this level of discernment when choosing a friend. Okay, he says, number 3. As to yourself, although you should live in such a way that you trust your own self with nothing which you could not entrust even to your enemy, yet, since certain matters occur which convention keeps secret, you should share with a friend at least all your worries and reflections. Right? So again, so what is he saying here? As to yourself, although you should live in such a way that you could trust your own self with nothing which you could not entrust even to your enemy. So basically, he's saying that you should live your life in such a transparent way that you could basically trust whatever you're doing with your enemy. Okay, so again, living in the public eye. Okay, but he's saying even still, with your friend, you should be able to trust even further, like all manner of worries and reflection. Regard him as loyal, and you will make him loyal. Critical, right? How many times have we been stabbed in the back and screwed because we've been friends or been in a relationship with someone that we did not regard as loyal, and thus they were not loyal? Yet if we regard a person as loyal, the way that we treat them influences how they behave to us. If a person believes that we don't believe them as loyal, they're less likely to be loyal because they have nothing to lose. They've already figured, this person doesn't already trust me, so what does it matter? Okay? Some, for example, fearing to be deceived, have taught men to deceive. There you go, right? By their suspicions, they have given their friend the right to do wrong. Why need I keep back any words in the presence of my friend? Why should I not regard myself as alone when in his company? Again, he's saying if you can't trust your friend, if you're setting up that they're deceitful, you're giving them the gate, you're giving them the key to be deceitful. You're basically teaching them that, right? Someone who may have not been disloyal to you may be disloyal if you treat them in such a way, right? And you'll find this out if you treat people like this. If you have a relationship, whatnot, friend, romantic relationship, if you treat them as disloyal, watch what happens. Number 4, there's a class of men who communicate to anyone whom they meet matters which should be revealed to friends alone, and unload upon the chance listener whatever irks them. Okay, so to talk about this one, this is the people that walk around with their heart on their sleeve. They're the ones that reveal too much information. They're the ones that it's a difference between being transparent and being needy, right? So being totally transparent is how you live your life. Okay, so if you live your life without shame, without regret, without apology, that's great. Okay, but when you aren't living your life that way, and you've got things that bother you, that are things that are confidential of nature, and you just share them with whoever will listen, all your worries, all your struggles, all the things that you should probably be keeping inside or sharing with a close friend, then it's like walking around with your heart on your sleeve. It becomes very needy. When people see you, you're unloading on them. You're putting your burden onto them instead of relieving their burdens. It's not a good charismatic thing to do. Others, again, fear to confide in their closest intimates. And if it were possible, they would not trust even themselves, burying their secrets deep in their hearts. Okay, so again, the other side of it is people that don't trust anyone, right? They're completely unable to form intimate connections with people because, and these people, right? I have several people that I know that it's like they're always talking at a surface level. You're always like, yeah, like, but what do you really think? What do you really feel? And you never get that connection, right? So you don't trust them. So he says, and they wouldn't even trust themselves, right? But we should do neither. It is equally faulty to trust everyone and to trust no one. Yet the former fault is, I should say, the more ingenuous, the latter the more safe, right? So really stupid to trust everyone. It's somewhat safe to trust no one, right? Like you could do that, okay? Number 5, in like manner you should rebuke these two kinds of men, both those who always lack repose and those who are always in repose. For love of bustle is not industry. It is only the restlessness of a hunted mind. So people that are always reacting, not so good. People that are never reacting, not so good. Again, okay? And the true repose does not consist in condemning all motion as merely vexation. That kind of repose is slackless and inertia. So again, right? It's finding this medium. It's not like just because someone is just busy, industrious, right, as he calls it, is not an indication of anything. But someone who's not at all, like it's the medium. It's the in between. It's choosing that to actually have action that is effective, right, as opposed to just taking action. And he's going a little bit off topic here, but it's kind of related. It's kind of a similar concept. So it's number 6. Therefore, you should note the following saying, taken from my reading in Pomponius. Some men shrink into dark corners to such a degree that they see darkly by day. No men should combine these tendencies, and he who reposes should act, and he who acts should take repose. Discuss the problem with nature. She will tell you that she has created both day and night. Farewell. So taking from that quote, what is he talking about here? It's a little bit hard to decipher, to be honest with you. But what he's saying here is that, some men shrink into dark corners to such a degree that they see darkly by day. So if you're kind of cynical of everything, if you're always thinking that everything is dark, right? If you're always taking that viewpoint, right? That's kind of like the trust no one. Then you're going to, even in the daylight, you're going to see darkness, right? Because you're so used to the dark, right? So, he wraps up by saying, nature, she will tell you that she has created both the day and the night. Farewell. So again, if we were to summarize this about choosing your friends and picking the people that you hang around with, don't just be cynical of everyone. Like, there are people that are trustworthy that you should call friends. There are people that are not trustworthy that you should not call friends, right? Don't pick one or the other and just live your life never trusting anyone or trusting everyone explicitly, right? You should live your life in such a way that you could live it transparently, but in reality, we know that there's certain people that we're going to confide in, and there's certain people that we're not going to confide in, and also just choosing like who we want to be around, right? Because you're going to be influenced by your friends and who you hang around with. So it's really, really important. So Seneca actually talks a lot about friendship and kind of these ideas, which I think is really important. Again, in the day and age of Facebook friends and all this stuff, and where we don't really have solid connections with people, and sometimes a lot of people that are trying to raise up in the world, think networking is just like making friends with everyone. Not the case, right? You need to be very careful and selective. You can have a lot of acquaintances. It's good to know a lot of people and network, but a few select friends that, again, think carefully, evaluate, judge before making the friendship. That's really important. Okay, so that's it for this letter. If you have not subscribed already, click that subscribe button. I'll be doing letter 4 obviously next in the next video, and you're going to want to check out the playlist if you haven't already. I'll be putting all the videos that I do in this series on that playlist. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them below, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.